We tested all the weapons for Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows at launch, and this is the definitive top 5. Like, some combinations are just insane, where enemies cannot do anything back and you become untouchable. You can cut through enemies instantly, become insanely overpowered with the Naginata. But let's start with number 5, the Rage of the Red Mist, that gives you 100% of an adrenaline chunk after an armor break, and this happens very easily with the Cannibal. But you can also break armor with abilities, so you basically get the adrenaline chunk back that you just used. It's smart to put the plus 20% armor damage engraving on the weapon, after of course upgrading your forge to rank 2, because this will then in most cases make sure that you break the armor instantly, also against very strong targets, like with the crushing shockwave ability, totally upgraded of course as well. With this combo you can launch insanely high health enemies in the air, breaking their armor, so you get the adrenaline chunk back that you just used, and now just instantly finish them off with a ground slam. It also works against guardians. You don't kill them but deal a ton of damage. So yeah, it's very powerful, but it's on number 5 because it sadly does not always work, with enemies simply getting up really fast. Now the Spine Breaker is great to use as well as another ability where you instantly break the armor, so get your adrenaline back and they can just finish the enemy off. It's a ton of fun and you can basically use all your abilities for free. You never run out of adrenaline. You can get the weapon in a legendary chest over here on the map at the Grave of the Buried Hopes, which has no enemies around, so it's very easy to pick up. On number 4 we find our first combination of Naginatas, the Shade of Blight and the Vengeful Foe, or the Vengeful Blight in short. Let's look at the Shade of Blight first, that I think looks pretty awesome too, as with this you feel 100% of an adrenaline chunk on an affliction trigger, so make enemies poisoned and you get a full adrenaline slot back. Something that will happen when you do the Onslaught ability as you hit the enemy multiple times, meaning that you basically can do that ability for free every time. But yes, we want to make the weapon even better, and we do that by engraving that perk on the Vengeful Foe. For one, we then have the 35% bleed buildup on a successful parry, so another way to build up a status effect to then get the adrenaline chunk back. But overall, bleed is just way better for this, as you can very quickly build it up again after it triggers. In fact, with the Onslaught ability that you of course have to unlock and upgrade it of course as well, like, this ability is so long that during the animation you trigger the effect and already build up a second bleed stack. I recommend the Crescent Strike as the other weapon ability, especially with the upgrades, as then you build up bleed 2 already with the ability and can even knock the enemies down, and they can trigger the bleed with the Ground Strike, so also get the adrenaline chunk back that you just spent. You basically never run out of adrenaline, so engrave the 8% extra damage per adrenaline chunk on all your other items for a nice extra damage increase. You can by the way buy that at a gear vendor over here on the map, and if you wait for the cooldowns you can play a bit more defensively and then just apply the bleed with the parry if you want. To get the Shade of Blight, simply follow this main quest target, and then at the end of the quest line during a fight you'll encounter the Messenger. Both Dennis and I had this and he drops the amazing Naginata. The Vengeful Foe is a reward from completing the tournament. You will see a quest for this show up near your hideout after going after the main targets. So then follow that, and then in the end you also get the other Naginata. Now it's time for some insane katana combos and way more. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Leave a like, that would really help us out, and subscribe for way more Assassin's Creed Shadows content like this. On number 3 we find the Flowing Peace and Crimson's Edge, or Crimson's Peace. This katana combo is crazy because you basically ignore a lot of enemies' health and instantly have them die. It starts with that Flowing Peace weapon, where after an armor break you instantly remove a health segment. So yes, this means that you have to do the 2 hits to break the enemy's armor, and then the regular enemies will just drop dead on the ground. It's really satisfying. But by engraving the perk on the Crimson's Edge, you have the bleed into the mix, and now bleed kills enemies below 2 health segments. So you suddenly make this combo strong against targets with 3 health segments as well. Because now you remove 1 health segment after the armor break, and then they will instantly die when the bleed triggers. The bleed only instantly kills enemies if they have 2 or less health segments when the bleed triggers, so there will be stronger 4 health segment targets and bosses that are better protected against this combo, but they can just switch to the Naginata combo that I want to go over in a moment. But overall, it's a really fun playstyle to cut through enemies like you're skipping many fights, but it's not the best katana combo in the game. More on that as well in a moment. To get the flowing piece katana, you want to go after the Hunters of Kyonyo, and you start the quest over here. You have to have Yasuke unlocked before you can do this. The first target is over here on the map. Just complete them in sequence until you get to the leader, who will give you the katana. Crimson's Edge is the final reward for going after Nobutsuna's students. You have to complete a part of the Mourner main story quest from Yasuke, and after that you can meet up with Nobutsuna and start the quest and go after these targets to in the end to get the weapon. On number 2 we have a really fun Naginata combo, the Lengthened Horizon with the time-honored Crescent, or the time-honored Horizon for short. Heavy posture attacks are really powerful with the Naginata, but the downside is that you of course have to charge them. Well, not with this weapon, as you get instantly charged posture attacks when pressing R1 or R2 on a hit. Of course the right button or the right trigger on Xbox. So they can chain light posture attacks into heavies and the other way around, as long as you got the timing right, which is not too hard if you just focus on pressing the attack buttons when you hit the enemy. You will then see a sort of grey glow appear over Yasuke when you trigger an instant posture attack. But let's make the weapon better by engraving the time-honored Crescent perk on the weapon. Like the Lengthened Horizon should be your main in this combo, as it has a way higher weapon damage. But now you get First Strike, which makes enemies vulnerable every 8 seconds. What this basically means is that the first attack you do is always an instant posture attack, and it makes the enemies vulnerable. If you time your button presses right, you can instantly do a light posture attack thanks to the perk from the Lengthened Horizon to instantly do a weak point hit. And now, every 8 seconds in combat, your next attack is that automatic posture attack that makes enemies vulnerable. So you can, like, do this combo a lot. And you really kind of have to focus on getting those timings right. So it's pretty satisfying if you can pull this off. To get the Lengthened Horizon, you want to open a legendary chest in the Tama region over here on the map. It's behind a shrine. And for the time-honored Crescent, complete this fortress in Omi. And on number 1, we got the Claw of the Tides and Loyal Traveler, or Claw of the Traveler. This is the best katana combo in the game, and I can tell you why, but the footage really speaks for itself. The enemy is simply unable to do anything back, while you can just repeat this tactic until they drop to the ground. Also satisfying against regular enemies, by the way, as one combo is mostly enough to take them down. So to do this, we for one want to use the perk from that Loyal Traveler, as with this, sheeted attacks are postured and make an enemy vulnerable. So you have to get the sheeted attack skill, and of course upgraded as well, because that increased the damage further. Now hold the block button. We mostly do the light attack button, but you can also hold the heavy attack button, and then you will see the glow, and then you know, okay, if I now use the attack, it's a posture attack. But thanks to the perk from the Loyal Traveler, you only need to hold the sheet attack for a brief moment to still get that insane posture attack. And then when hitting an enemy, they will become vulnerable as well. So engrave this perk on the Claw of the Tides, because that one says that you instantly charge a posture attack after you hit a posture attack. And we did that because the sheeted attack is now a posture attack. Then simply press the light attack button for an instantly charged posture attack that is now actually a weak point hit, because you do it on a vulnerable enemy, and you become unstoppable. Now maybe by the time you watch this they already nerfed it, although I don't really know how they would do that, but I will of course keep you posted here. To get the Loyal Traveler, you want to open this legendary chest over here on the map, but to reach it you need to go from this shrine and take the west exit, parkour a bit, and they will reach it. The Claw of the Tides is also a reward from a legendary chest on the riverbank. It's over here on the map. Got any cool weapon combos? Totally let us know in the comments down below. A like on the video would really help us out, and check out the top 5 weapons for Naue by clicking on the screen. We will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.